All right, this is James with Zero Authority DAO. I'm here today with Tony from Rad.live, and we're going to have a conversation and get to learn a whole bunch more about Tony and what all they're building over there and their experience so far in the Stacks Accelerator. So, good afternoon, Tony. I believe we're on the same continent here, so hope you're having a good day so far.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys on. So yeah, for the audience, we typically get a lot of Stacks folks. Those people are probably pretty curious. What is Rad.live? What all are you guys
hmm
building?
Yeah, I mean, I think the philosophy that we have is that all content will eventually be on the blockchain. Um, Obviously, things are more expensive and slower currently, but over time, this becomes a permanent layer of the internet. And much like DeFi has kind of taken over from a financial perspective, we're starting to see how tracking content and handling accounting and more transparency around payments and um, creators having more tools at their disposal and fans having a direct connection. All of those things are really powerful constructs that are being brought in content ecosystem. So we're experts, or we built careers in the video space and streaming, and started out, me personally started out building live streaming networks for businesses in like 2005, and then over time have built various different publishing platforms and streaming platforms. And in 2014, we as a company were actually leaning pretty heavily into virtual reality streaming, so 360-degree video, 180 degrees, 3D, volumetric video for augmented reality, et cetera. So immersive content streaming, and really taking kind of a complex distribution paradigm and trying to make it very simple for content creators and consumers. So, our application was kind of the consumer facing direct consumer application, but really had to partner with content companies and work closely with them and hardware companies. And so, I'm giving a little bit of the history because I think it matters to where we are today, and why we believe that all content really ultimately should be on chain, and why accounting being built into smart contracts and having that be auditable and transparent, and creating a direct connection between the fan and the creator, and having global currencies that can easily move around the world, and instead of paying centralized market paying people out. So Rad, as we're launching it today, is what we're launching in the blockchain space specifically, is a video streaming platform that leverages all the benefits that you get from smart contracts and blockchain. And if you look at the NFT space, there's really not a tool set for creators. I mean, there's a handful of things that have started to emerge, but been further behind all the JPEG tools. So we, as Rad, the platform, have positioned ourselves kind of taking all of our strengths from distributing traditional video content, immersive video, and starting to wrap that up using smart contracts, so that the people who are creating the content don't have to worry necessarily about that piece of the stack. And when it comes to video, you have all different kinds of things that need to be included, like optimization across devices, and transcoding, and the creation of HLS and Dash playlists, manifests, adaptive bitrate streaming, optimizing the streams depending on if you're on a PlayStation or an Android TV or an iPhone or an Oculus Quest or whatever it is. There's an enormous amount of additional complexity when you're dealing with video, that you can't do something on IPFS and put it, put a smart contract on it, and you're off to the races. So, we as a streaming platform, enormous amount of opportunity for creating a tool set for video creators and allowing them to distribute across devices. And so we have apps, like I said, I kind of mentioned the PlayStation. We have apps on the PlayStation, Android TV, iPhone, iPad, and then we're in the process of updating apps for Android mobile, and Apple TV, and Huawei, and Roku, and Samsung. And so we have, some of those apps are in the process of being updated from existing kind of traditional streaming apps. Others are new deals that we have in place that we're now building out for. And so, ultimately, like, how can we build a Web3 streaming platform that honors the way that creators want to create content, IP gets moved around, individuals owning the characters of the, that might end up in a show that is going to be streamed. Those are all things that are really difficult for existing streaming platforms to do. And, it kind of turns Netflix and Disney, like, it turns their model of streaming and ownership completely on its head. And we feel like that is a needed thing in the space. And so, we started doing that on Ethereum initially, but over time have seen that multiple chains are going to have lots of content. And how can we, as an aggregator and a platform, really think more kind of independent of the chain, and more about how can we connect all the ecosystems and all the content into kind of a simple single streaming marketplace. So, at the simplest, highest level, it's maybe it's like a YouTube for Web3, and or maybe Patreon to some degree, but it's really kind of creator tools for video, using blockchain and all the benefits that come along with Web3. And that's how we position Rad as a platform.
Yeah, it's really awesome to hear your background, and also what you've been building here today. And I do like how you mentioned that, you guys were building on Ethereum, and saw the value in building on multiple chains. There's creators everywhere, and I always tell people, it's meet people where they are, right? That's the easiest way. And so it's something that everybody should want, is to have more ownership of the content that they create, and to be able to earn more from that. One thing I was curious about was, part of, I think one of the tough things that people have to solve when it comes to putting up a lot of content, and especially video content, via the blockchain, is the storage aspect of it. So, like you were saying, so are you guys looking into kind of decentralized storage solutions, or self storage, kind of self-hosted, or?
I mean, there's an interesting set of challenges when it comes to video. And you need high performance, high availability systems. And in a peer-to-peer context, there's not always high availability and high performance. So we've tried to think about it in a kind of a hybrid fashion, where we have the ability for transcoding at the highest level, hosting on a global content delivery network, and streaming as high performance as you can possibly have, close to the edges. So you're guaranteed that videos, if you're playing them in Italy, or you're playing them in Brazil, or you're playing them in New York, any one of those places is going to get guaranteed high availability and high performance. From a consumer perspective, we've come to get used to this if you go to a TV and you hit play on a movie or a TV show or whatever, you expect it to immediately play and to immediately adapt to any network conditions, whether you're on a, you know, gigabit home internet connection or you're on a terrible, you know, 3G roaming on your mobile phone. Like, you want the video to play across those devices. So, you know, that's a lot harder to do in a decentralized ecosystem. You know, if you just throw that on IPFS does a fine job of kind of like cold storage and storing small things. There are a handful of solutions that are decentralized, kind of peer-to-peer content delivery networks that are trying to solve that problem. But in the last 20 years, it's not even remotely the same level as you get from having some centralization and transcoding. And so our approach and our mindset is similar to how, you know, Coinbase has 75 million customers, and all 75 million of those customers have logged in to a centralized database with a username and password, sent Coinbase their passports and credit cards and bank accounts, and and really what Coinbase has done is added a convenience layer for people to access different cryptocurrencies, and now, of course, you know, doing it with NFTs as well. So, you know, we see the opportunity on the video side where consumers in the mass market aren't going to care as much about how you host and deliver the content. There's a small number of people in the crypto space that will raise their fist and be like, everything has to be decentralized all the time. But that's a really small community talking to each other, patting each other on the back. Like, that's completely out of touch with how general consumers think and what they expect. And so we're presenting it so that it's the best of both worlds. We can create high availability, high performance, you know, high quality transcoding that's guaranteed. And then if you want to have access to that content, we know that you own it, it's on chain, and we can put the underlying main asset on as essentially the metadata, and your entry on the chain is the entitlement to that. And that's very similar to how even JPEGs work now on chain. You know, you essentially put it on IPFS, so it's not actually on chain. Or you put it on some file system. So like almost basically every NFT, with the exception of a handful, live off chain. And so, you know, same thing. If when we did this, like we did a 50 gigabyte Blu-ray. This is a prime example, right? With Cinedigm, who, you know, is a great partner of ours, and they own a ton of content. They did a collectible Blu-ray DVD, and they wanted the ownership of that, of course, to be on chain. You own a collectible Blu-ray level 4K quality HDR, but the Blu-ray assets are 50 gigabytes. So the single underlying piece of metadata is 50 gigabytes. For a JPEG to be on IPFS, like, that's fine. But for a 50 gigabyte Blu-ray level movie to be sitting on IPFS, and for you to hit play on that on your TV, it's not going to be transcoded into a bunch of different versions. It won't step down or play in any kind of network setting. I mean, it's 30 megabits a second. So you better have a pretty strong internet connection to play that 50 gigabyte movie. Whereas, like, you know, if you wanted to download that as a consumer and put that, you bought it, it's on chain, you can prove that you own it, and you want to download that 50 gigabyte movie and watch it on your laptop. Most people don't even have 50 gigabytes on their laptop of free space. You know, there's like a very small community of like people who host and have Plex servers, and like their whole they run UPnP local networks and have crazy media servers with like 100 terabytes of hard drives, and like they have all of these high quality films that they pirated or they have full ownership over, or ripped off of DVDs. And that's a really small community of people. If you look at like a normal consumer who just wants to watch the Avengers, they don't want to download a 50 gigabyte Blu-ray level 4K film and to their hard drive on their laptop just to watch that. And certainly they probably don't even have the codecs that they need to play that file. It might even be like encoded in H.265. So, there's a small group of people who will do that, but the hundreds of millions of people or billions of people that watch movies and TV shows and videos online, they need it to be way easier. So anyway, that's kind of a long way of saying we built a hybrid system so we can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And I always say, decentralization, it's on a scale. It's not a true or false. And when you're building, you want something that many in the general populace are going to be able to use right off the bat, right? So you want, and so I like that you guys are thinking that way. No one's to say like maybe in the future things get easier. We have innovations in hardware or whatnot that can make it more decentralized. But as of right now, we use the tools that are at our disposal to reach the broadest audience, and creators are going to like that too, right? They don't want to be able to just stream to 10 people. They want to stream to 10 million, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Well, and the web 1.0, like the first internet, was just a collection of protocols, and it didn't become useful until people started to write wrappers around the protocols. So like interacting directly with like SMTP or FTP or HTTP or whatever, like those are all terrible things, but like everybody uses Gmail, and that's really the layer that's the value of on top of SMTP. And the same thing, so like you had web 1, which was a decentralized collection of protocols, and then you had web 2, which is just all the convenience layers that sat on top of those protocols. And then web 3 has been a response to the abuse of people's data and the collective kind of financial system abuse. If you're uploading your photos for free on Facebook, like they're abusing your data there, and no creators can make any money on YouTube, and being squeezed at every possible chance. And so like you ended up with this web 3 response, which is the pendulum is kind of going back to protocols and decentralization. But the natural next step is to build convenience layers on top of the new protocols. So we'll eventually get there again. But I've been lucky enough to see enough of web 1, all of web 2, and now web 3 emerge, and so we're just watching what happened in history, and that the bulk of people using the internet don't interact with protocols and don't care about decentralization. They want convenience. And so how can we use both to use the new technology and make it valuable for people, but ultimately make it cool.
Yeah. And to dive into that a little more, the solution, what you guys are providing, you at a high level, you kind of described it as like a kind of a web3 YouTube. Folks that are creators are going to be able to truly own their content, and then I imagine also be able to earn more than kind of the traditional mechanisms. Is this also going to be something where like live streaming and things like that would also live?
Yeah, so the whole platform already supports live, and this is the kind of the great thing about us building a content platform, so full CMS with a global content delivery network and applications that support live streaming, video on demand, and immersive video content. Having all of those things available day one, but putting in it's essentially the way we handled payments before. It was a traditional content marketplace, and we had to take money on one side, collect that money and calculate payouts to people and pay them out on the other side. And it would take 90 days or more, whatever, to do that. And from a streaming perspective and a content perspective, putting in the smart contract layer into the content management system such that any creator can come to the platform, create an individual video, like one of one video, one of 100 of a similar type of video, which is basically fungible, but it could be a collector's edition, so like 100 of certain music video that only the super fans get, or drop a 10,000 piece collection, or an arbitrary number of NFTs, and then assign those NFTs as gates to content. So whether that's a live stream or a collection of videos for like a season, or 10 music videos from artists that only the NFT holders should get access to, for the first 6 months or whatever. So there's a lot of flexibility in the system for giving access to videos, leveraging data or leveraging the utility of the chain, whether that's creating fungible or non-fungible video directly on chain, or non-fungible tokens that are essentially used as gates to access video content. And then the way that we do that is, if you have, we can run a live stream, but we can put that behind a token gate. And so since we have the ability for people to log in with a username and password, we can store their ownership and make it easy for that content to be discoverable and watched on something like an Android TV or a PlayStation, because you can't sell NFTs on those devices right now. So the only way you can consume video that's blocked off by an NFT is to use that like an entitlement, and we can then mark that person's record in a shared system across devices. So we've tried to position it in a way where we can support all different types of video content and support NFTs, but get around like the hoops that you have to jump through on devices, which is a pain, and it'll take a while to get there, but like we found a way around it for now.
Yeah, that's really innovative, because it's crazy depending on the device that you might be watching on. It almost feels like it's half a decade or a decade back in time, right? So it's people, all of these different hardware devices, they're kind of going at their own pace with having the ability for wallet integrations and all of that. And I think with time it'll come, but you guys are going to see, I think, a lot of benefit, and you probably already are, in finding ways to work with it right now. So that's really awesome to hear. It is interesting too, talking about how NFTs can be used as gates for different content. Like you said a little bit ago, talking about how you guys might be similar in some ways to Patreon as well, where you could have different people can provide different subscriptions for various content, and having kind of super fans and all of that. And I know there's a lot of stuff out there where like music artists and probably live streamers, people that get donations and things like that, where there's probably a select group of fans that contribute quite a substantial amount of their total earnings. And so it only makes sense to provide a kind of a NFT or a gate that those people could belong into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the exact numbers I forget, and they've been thrown around a lot, but the paradigm is kind of the same. Is that if you can get 1,000 people to pay you $50 a month, that's $50,000 a month, and and from an artist perspective or creator's perspective, you can, if you're making $50,000 a month, you know, you're making $600,000 a year, and that for an individual creator with only 1,000 fans is a meaningful amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, the same thing is applying here, where you have these projects that are launching, that, you know, small group of people are able to, it was like, you know, Bored Ape Yacht Club was like 4 people. And so they, you know, there is an enormous amount of potential value that's created if you can create a fan base and like give people a consistent flow of content. Then you can build out an ecosystem and have full control over the, you know, who owns the IP, how the money is flowing, where the royalties are paid out, and those are all things that are to creators are incredibly important. And I think that is, if you look at how the social platforms have been squeezing creators, you know, when YouTube launched the creators thing in, like, I forget what it was, like 2009 or something, or 2010. It was like, maybe it was 2012. Anyway, when they launched that, like, everybody was like, oh wow, this is the future. And the early partners were getting crazy revenue splits. It was like 90-10, and then it was like 70-30, and now it's 55-45. And so YouTube is doing everything they can to take as much money as they can from creators. And even to the point of, like, if you go cut side deals to advertise directly on your feed or your streams, like, they get mad at that. And so the things like Patreon and Substack and OnlyFans and all these different, and NFTs, like, all these different responses really are a manifestation of the frustration on the creator side. And so we are definitely seeing that in the video space as well, but there just hasn't been any video tools. It's all been JPEG tools. Like, so, you know, we're uniquely positioned because we already have apps on PlayStations and smart TVs and the whole streaming ecosystem. We actually started, I mean, I've been in Bitcoin 12, and I started playing around with Ethereum in 2017, and we built the first smart contracts for content marketplace stuff in 2018. And we worked with Consensus and did the whole thing. So, like, this wasn't a hype thing, you know, this is like, I've been philosophically bought into Bitcoin for a decade.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like a couple of weeks ago we were like, oh shit, NFTs are hot, let's get in there. You know,
Yeah.
which a
Yeah.
lot of people have done, but, like, you know, many people on our team have been in this space for a long time and are deep believers in it. A lot of us have been creators ourselves, whether we put music out. I produced electronic music for 15 years and have a couple other people who produce music on the team. And so we've seen it from the creator side, and we've built content platforms for distribution. And so it just seems like, you know, this is all definitely happening. And, you know, our goal in this ecosystem is to make that easy for creators and fans to stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of a fan, I mean, you know, anyone, if you have YouTubers that you know, care about, you enjoy their content, I mean, it's, you do feel the kind of a little bit of the pain when it's like, oh, like, you know, we don't have ads. They turned ads off on our channel, or, you know, they're having to sell a bunch of merch and everything else, as opposed to kind of go the normal way. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, you if you care about those people, and you tend to, something like this would provide a lot of value. You know, I would switch to something like this in a minute. And so
Totally.
it's, I could see a lot of other folks do it as well.
Yeah. Well,
I,
and the economics of it, I mean, are just to, like, kind of dovetail on that point quickly, is like, if you're a single person, a single creator, and you make $1 million on, you know, a social platform, that can be a lot of money. But then those people start to get teams. You know, they get 3 or 4 people. They have editors. They have people shooting. Now they're buying lights. Maybe they get a small studio. They're doing all kinds of. Now they have to support a team, and they have marketing and analytics, and and then it goes up the stack. It's like organization, like bigger publishers, like Complex Magazine and Whistle, and like Complex Magazine has like 5 million YouTube subscribers, which is a lot, but they also have like 300 employees.
Yeah.
So, they're not, they can't sustain off their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So, how could, they're always thinking like, after like one person in their bedroom doing unboxings or tutorials, then it's like, it pretty quickly gets into like, okay, how do I make more money? And yeah, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it's really true. And it was cool to hear earlier a little bit about your history, being around Bitcoin for that long and Ethereum for that long as well. And not only just investing in like Ethereum, but also building on Ethereum back in 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That's really impressive. And there's I have this theory, there's a lot of people on stacks, and it just feels like people that get it, people that have been around for a long time, and that it seems like you fit that bill as well. I'm glad you have arrived here and are choosing to build here as well.
Well, yeah, and it has like all the right things. I mean, when we started playing around with Bitcoin, like me and a buddy, and I started out trying to mine it, but it was almost in 2012. It was like almost too late to really get into mining, and I was like, I'm not going to set up a mining operation. And so like we started playing around, like making little arbitrage bots, and it was like novel. And I came from engineering, computer engineering, and so was interested in the white paper and was excited about the technology, but it wasn't ever like, I kind of look back on it now and wish I had the doomsday prepper mentality to say I need to get 10,000 Bitcoins right now because the world's going to end. But I really just grabbed like a handful of them and was playing around with them. And so, but at the time, like, there wasn't a ton you could do with it. It was just like the idea that was exciting to people, and you could trade it, but that was it. And Ethereum was kind of the response to that. Like, you can't do anything with Bitcoin, and so let's make it programmable, which was very exciting. And that at the time, like, also way cheaper. And the network, there was nobody on the network. Like, we were on there pre-CryptoKitties, and I distinctly remember CryptoKitties launching and everybody being like, why is gas like $2 or something? I forget what it was. It was like, so it went from cents to dollars like pretty quick. And everybody was like, oh wow, like CryptoKitties is clogging the network. This is wild. But then it kind of died back down, and there was a meme moment, but it wasn't crazy. And so we kind of kept building on Ethereum, thinking like, that was a weird blip on the radar, but surely Ethereum's going to figure that out. And here we are still today. If you want to do a DeFi transaction on a bad day, it can cost you $100 to do a token swap or more. Mm-hmm. And if you want to mint an NFT in the middle of a gas war, we've seen things like it's going to cost you $2,000 worth of ETH to do an NFT purchase or something. It's like, and so to have stacks come out with the smart contract layer for Bitcoin, which basically makes it usable in a completely different way, and it accesses all the Bitcoin maxis and potential Bitcoiners that have a bunch of value locked up on the sidelines, gives you all the things like NFT capabilities and DeFi capabilities and launching new tokens and all of those things that everybody was saying about Bitcoin and not having that capability. Now to have it, and the history the time that I've spent in the crypto space, it's like, to see that with Bitcoin, to get excited about Ethereum, and then to lose enthusiasm for Ethereum because it's getting too expensive, and to see now this thing being built on top of Bitcoin, that became super exciting pretty quickly. And so, our team, and thankfully, we've had a few friends inside Stacks organization, Kyle Ellicott and Trevor, and we know a number of people and inside, and so it became an easy sell for us to say we need a solution to gas fees, and also, as we thought more broadly about it, how can we access more ecosystems and unify them and bring them together? And if somebody wants to publish on Stacks and use Stacks and they have a big bag of Stacks and they're all in on that ecosystem, they should be able to do that. And same thing with other chains. So yeah, but we're very, very excited about for the cost effectiveness, the value that it's unlocking in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and it feels very much like early Ethereum. And so getting in now and building with the ecosystem, it's all like very exciting. It's got a good feel to it.
Yeah, it really does in a lot of ways feel like early Ethereum. Everything has its hiccups and all, and it's still kind of quiet. It's quiet to the point where like as you mentioned those names, I know those people. So it's like, yeah, it's small enough where you can kind of know most of the people that are building in the space. But with that said, I was going to ask, what's your experience been like in the accelerator before? Is this kind of like the first time you've been in a crypto accelerator, or, it seems like you've already been building on Ethereum for quite some time. So
Yeah.
you're kind of a veteran in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, actually, like this is my fourth company. This is my fourth startup, and I've sold a couple startups, and I've actually been a mentor for Techstars, and gone through the Disney Accelerator, and so and I've been an investor in a few different things, and so it's like I think Stacks the Stacks Accelerator kind of broadened the scope a little bit to not just include the two people in in the garage trying to build a new platform. It's more about like saying, okay, well there might be like companies that are expanding from Web 2 into Web 3, or more established companies that are trying to get access to the ecosystem. So the accelerator becomes less about knowing how to create a pitch deck and respond to business emails, which some people are literally have never done any of that before, and to how can you accelerate your relationships in the Stacks ecosystem. And so we saw the value from that perspective, and of course, like always staying humble and listening, and staying hungry and looking for opportunities. And so, but like the interesting thing is like there's like some of the mentors in the Stacks Accelerator program, like I'm just friends with, and a couple of them they've invested in our company separately, right? And I've gone out and just kicked it with them and had drinks. So it's an interesting dynamic in that I think for us, there's excitement around building for the community, learning all the different pockets more quickly, getting to know the people that are behind Stacks and the foundation and the accelerator better. And I've known Kyle for years, and I met Trevor in like 2010 or something in New York, and there's been, not like we've been friends for that long, but we've known about each other. And so yeah, we're in an interesting place in that we are an established company and we've raised like $14 million, and we have been break even or profitable over the last couple of years. So a little bit different lens coming from our perspective, but like the people are so good, the technology is awesome, and even though we're still early in terms of the building there, it feels very much like being in, even though Stacks has been around for a little while, it feels like getting in basically at the ground floor, which is an exciting moment for builders for sure.
Yeah. And I'm always curious too. I don't know how tight knit the cohort is, but I can imagine there's probably a lot of opportunities to learn from other people that are in the cohort and to form some interesting relationships there. Was curious of your experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been, I feel like, so busy. We went out to Miami and met, we obviously went to the event earlier in the week and then stayed through Saturday or whatever, met a couple different companies out there. Another one, independently, that we got connected to and we partnered with, who's creating video content, is Blue Studios.
Mhm.
And they're in there. So that not only have we already done a partnership with them, like we have some of their content already ingested into the platform. But I chatted with Kelly and had, we've a couple people from our team have talked to them on a couple different occasions, talking about which connections we can make to other VCs and them, how they can refine their message and present their business, just because, like, a few of us on the team are repeat entrepreneurs. And so yeah, it's good to like build partnerships, but then also um, you know get get to know the other companies in the cohort. And then also, like, I got connected to the Stacks NFT platform. The founder there got connected to Shente at Alex, and so have been talking with the other kind of leaders in Stacks ecosystem, and learning about what they have currently, and how we could potentially partner. And so yeah, I think those connections have already been really valuable, and we've started to get to know people and see how we can work together, and to some degree have already started working together in a
Yeah.
couple facets. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone around is just they're very helpful and open, and yeah, it's really nice. It's something I haven't really seen in other industries before, so it's exciting times. But yeah, I was gonna ask for folks that are listening in later on, what when's the release for Stacks, and what can they do on Rad.live now if they have some Ethereum, and kind of what are the next steps for them to try you guys out?
Hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, we're essentially in parallel building now for Stacks. So, we have the basic smart contract for the creation of NFTs. The other added layer is that we have to essentially have market smart contracts that handle the transfer of NFTs and fungible tokens from one person to another person, making sure the payouts are all happening correctly, et cetera. So those things take a little bit more time. But the platform itself, we have done a number of auctions and simple sales, and those types of things are available via Ethereum right now. So the launch date, what we're looking at is we're throwing an event at NFT NYC on June 21st, and that's going to be really a celebration of like creators and partners on our platform, and investors and et cetera. Just a good celebration moment, but really kind of a launch event for the platform. And I say launch event, like Rad's been live in the market on smart TVs and game consoles and iPhones for a number of years already. So it's really just taking all of the valuable layers of what you can do with blockchain and NFTs to releasing that all kind of in a moment. And so the way we're doing that rollout is that, like, we actually have a big auction going on right now for the Hacksmith, and which he's auctioning off a lightsaber, which is super cool. And the ability to enable simple sales will be, I think it's either launching tomorrow or early next week. But so essentially you'll be able to come to mint things, put them up for buy it now, auction it, and then launching like an arbitrary number size collection and supporting all the different content types. So images really, are kind of supported mostly because we're thinking that they'll be used as gates to video content,
Mm.
or adding video content that will be NFTs or FTs by themselves, or live streams that we can already support. It's like creating those and adding the NFTs that might already exist. Like you could go, if you wanted to, you could create a video and say, the only way you can watch this is if you own a Bored Ape. So adding that capability over the next few weeks is staged rollout. And so we have some things live in production now, a number of things going into production over the next few weeks. All of that will culminate into the launch on June 21st. And I think the Stacks program ends at like the 15th of June or something. So it all ends up being good timing.
Yeah, yeah. I know I know speaking on behalf of the DAO, we'll look into trying to get some of our content hosted on there and seeing what we can do to use the platform as well. So
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I
yeah.
appreciate that.
So
Yeah,
we'll
we don't want to compete. Like it's not a, we're not trying to build like Stacks NFT over again. We're trying to build the video streaming platform for NFTs. So we feel like we're positioning ourselves as a streaming platform, and we have distribution endpoints like a streaming platform. And so the more kind of content partners that we can have on board, ideally that are putting some kind of streamed content. I mean, we've even put a couple of our podcasts that we did up on Rad directly already, and it's just audio with like a hold slide on it. And so there's a few of those types of things that we can already support that be interesting to chat with you guys about.
yeah, yeah. And kind of to wrap things up, where can people find out more about you and the team, the rest of the team, and yeah, where to find out more updates
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, so the website is Rad.live, which is pretty easy to remember. We're kind of in a little bit of a, since we're rolling out the new platform, it doesn't fully live on Rad.live yet. So the web3 application that's being built in parallel, that you can connect your wallet, you can see all your NFTs, you can list them for sale, etc. All of that lives on app.rad.live. Eventually that will all live under Rad.live as we roll things out over the next few weeks. But and then yeah, on Twitter we're Rad NFTV, which is just the Twitter handle. And then we have a Discord that we'd love to have everybody in and chat. And there's a bunch of creators in there. There's a bunch of investors in there. There's a bunch of really quiet absolute hitters in that Discord, but it's a pretty great kind of community that's starting to build there. We just turned on the Discord like fairly recently compared to the life of the company. So we have the Discord is linked on our Twitter profile. And yeah, so and that's pretty much the main points of contact. We had to turn to Telegram to announcement only because the amount of like spam and nonsense that was happening in there was just like impossible to manage. So Discord ended up being a little bit easier. And Twitter, it seems to be like crypto Twitter is where most of the interaction has been happening. So, and then
Yeah.
I'm 0x Tony on Twitter, but it's T0NY, so 0x Tony. And yeah, I'm around too, like can answer questions or chat or DM me or whatever. So we're just excited about building in the space, want to build for the community and be helpful as a partner to as many people as we can.
Yep. And I have a feeling a lot of content creators or from Stacks are going to be looking to sign up and get going on you guys as soon as they can. So it's
Awesome.
really exciting to see, and I'll be on there as well. So
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate that. We've been excited about the technology for a long time. We're super excited about Stacks in particular. And see a great opportunity to build the ecosystem together with everybody. So yeah.